Welcome to Lead Where You Live, Tucson Voices in Leadership. I'm Jamie Leon Guerrero.
And I'm Raysun Frost. This podcast is all about real people leading with heart in our community.
We believe leadership isn't about titles, it's about action. And Tucson is full of people making a difference in big and small ways.
Join us as we chat with inspiring voices who are showing up, stepping up, and shaping Tucson's future.
Let's get into it.
Hello and welcome to the Lead Where You Live podcast. I am Raysun Frost, and I am here today with Kennedy Van Norman. Thank you so much, Kennedy.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And unfortunately, Jamie Leon Guerrero is not able to be with us today. Kennedy Van Norman is the program director for the Empowering Youth program. The Empowering Youth program teaches healthy relationship skills to youth in Pima County, a topic Kennedy is extremely passionate about. In her free time, Kennedy enjoys trying new restaurants in town and spending time with her two adorable dogs. All right, so I actually have a question I'm supposed to start with, but I just have to ask, what kind of dogs do you have?
Okay, so I have one. I have to do maybe this is like my early plug, but I do have one dog that I adopted from the Pima Animal Care Center. We joke he's 100% dog, so we don't really know what he is. Love him to death. He's he looks like a coyote whippet kind of mix. His name is Archer. And then I do have a miniature schnauzer. I grew up with miniature schnauzers, love them to death. And that's my little Willow. So they're both young, very energetic, love a big backyard. So that's where I spend a lot of my time in the backyard, just playing fetch, playing tug of war, doing all the things, love it to death. So
I love dogs. I love the rescue. I'm totally with her. I have a foster dog myself. Thank you for adopting a dog.
yes.
So who are you? Tell us a little about who you are, without your dogs, without the titles, without the accolades in your bio. Who is Kennedy?
So I am originally from Phoenix, and I moved to Tucson in 2018 to go to college. Bear down, go Cats. So if there's any ASU fans watching, I apologize. I'm very close with my family. My family's definitely like the cornerstone in my life where I feel grounded. My two siblings and my lovely parents, and my husband, who I just married back in March, the love of my life, and his family. So a very family-oriented person, love going. We do trivia every Thursday. My mom comes down here and hangs out with me all the time. We like to bake, do all that sort of stuff. Other than spending time with my dogs, I'm really into doing my own nails. So nail salon quality type things. I've recently gotten to gardening, so I have flowers everywhere in my yard, especially because it's nice out. I love going for walks. Where I live, it's absolutely beautiful to walk. And I like to get out of town when I can. So Greer, Arizona is a place that I really love. And I love going to Rocky Point. So places that I can drive to and get away for a quick weekend. Just things that I love to do. I love to stay busy and, get moving. So
you're an adventurer, a traveler, a gardener. Yes,
Yeah.
you're. Love it.
Yeah, I love to dabble in all the hobbies is what I say. I'm just going to do a little bit of everything and see what sticks. So
Well, and apparently gardening has stuck. If you were
Yeah.
able of creating flowers here in Arizona, I moved from the East Coast. I find it it's just a whole nother world.
Right.
More power to you. I love that you mentioned that. We don't get a lot of people on who say that they are gardeners here in Tucson.
Yeah, and you got to do the watering twice a day. I have it on a schedule. I wake up and that's the first thing that I do so I don't forget. And they're also not in shock by 2 p.m. when it's hot.
We're going to go a little deeper potentially into who you are by asking, where does your name come from?
So my grandfather, his name is Jim Van Norman. So this is on my dad's side. He worked for the Kennedy campaign back in the 60s. And so my dad's family are big JFK people. So they have this bust that they had of him, and there is a picture that is awesome. Maybe I'll send it to you. And it has my nana and my papa with Robert Kennedy and his wife. So really big into that. And so that is where I get my name from. My parents said it was a natural name choice when they were picking. They were Kennedy is it. So, and I'm a big fan. I don't know if this is a self-conceited thing to say, but I'm a big fan of my name. I love it. I feel I'm definitely a Kennedy.
You did it all. You got to love yourself, and it starts.
Right.
I love that.
Right. I'm proud to be my name's Kennedy.
And you also mentioned that you came from Phoenix. So when you moved here to Tucson, obviously you moved somewhere in Tucson. Tell us what you love about where you live here in Tucson.
So I mentioned in a couple of the things, First of all, I love like the nature out here, like the fact that I just go for a walk in my neighborhood and there's the saguaros and there's the wildlife. I just think it's like so beautiful. And you can't beat our winters. Like our summers are a little spicy for me, but like once it hits this time of the year, like it's just absolutely beautiful outside and like all year is like happy hour season, right? And I think that leads into my second thing, which is I think the food down here is like absolutely unbeatable. And me and my husband are definitely foodies. But, like, we will go and, like, try all the different happy hours, we'll go to the different restaurants, even, like, the breakfast places, and it's just, like, there's a lot of social aspects to eating, and I think, like, doing it around good food is, like, really important. So, combined with, like, the nature and the fact that, like, I can go and literally have the best meal of my life at just, like, my local place is, like, by far my 2 favorite things about living here, it's so fun.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so there's a couple of things I wanna get back to. First of all, I think you're the first person who has described the Tucson summers as spicy, but
Yeah.
it's I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
use it from here on, right? Spicy is hot, right? Like, it's temperature hot, and definitely, yes, our summers are definitely spicy.
Yes, yes. I feel like it's like that feeling when you step outside and like like you can just feel it on your skin and like you know the UV at like 8 a.m. is already at 9 and you're like, oh my gosh, today's gonna be a hot day. But I feel like again, I'm willing to do that in exchange for like the 9 out of the 12 months of the year that it's absolutely gorgeous here. So I'm like, I just gotta put up and you know what? Like I said, I like to go up to northern Arizona. So especially in the summer, if I can like get away for like a weekend, I will just go and like get my relief, and then come back to work and then like do that cycle kind of throughout the summer.
Yeah, that's great. And then you also mentioned you mentioned restaurants. You're actually the podcast previously was also all into the food here in Tucson. I do think it's something really special. For those of you that don't know, I don't recall if we've mentioned this before or not, but Tucson is a city of gastronomy. Like we're recognized internationally. Woohoo, right?
Yes.
So we really do have some really unique and just delicious restaurants here in Tucson. So I'm going to ask you this, which is, what would you say is one of your favorite restaurants? You can name a couple if you want, but
Yeah.
maybe breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh my gosh, yes. So well, let me start with dinner because it's like the first one that came to mind, like happy hour dinner. Like I said, I like to go to a lot of happy hours. I have two. Chara Steak is especially they just opened one like kind of closer to where I live on the north side of town. I mean, I'm an oysters person, so love oysters on the half shell, and they just do a phenomenal job with it. They have chimichurri steak, it's so good. They have shishito peppers that they cook tableside. Oh my God, so good. I'm going there right now. And then my other favorite place for like a lunch dinner is Michelangelo's, which is also kind of on the north side, Italian food. So, so good. Have to also mention Giuseppe's, excuse me, which is another Italian place. So you could tell I like my Italian food. So absolutely so delicious. And then for breakfast, I have to say local. I'm a big bagel and cream cheese person, and Bubby's Bagels is absolutely phenomenal. They have like a I don't know if they are sourdough bagels, but they have like a sourdough taste to them, which I really like. So, and like I feel like on a Saturday morning you can't beat like a bagel and cream cheese and then like going and walking around somewhere where it's like absolutely gorgeous. So those are my plugs. Definitely if you're coming in town, those are the places you should go.
Love it. I love it. We
Yeah,
may have
yeah.
to add this as like there's so many restaurants,
Right.
right? We might need to add this as like one of our traditional
Yeah.
questions, like breakfast, lunch, dinner. Tell us where
Like,
you'd eat.
come on, where do you like to go, right? And I feel like I'm barely scratching the surface because people tell me of like their favorite restaurants, and I'm like, I've never been there. And then I go and I'm like, this just opened a whole new world for me. Like every restaurant is so
Yes,
incredibly
yes.
good. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Perfect. Love it. No,
Yeah.
I'm serious. This is going to be our season 3 is going to have
Yes, yes.
gonna have restaurants in Tucson as part of our question. Tell us a little bit. So you told us about a lot of different aspects of your life so far. Tell us something that most people, at least the people listening here on this podcast, wouldn't know about you.
So I think once you know me, a lot of people like know this, but I don't know if I give this energy like as soon as I start speaking to someone. I'm a huge Swiftie, okay? I am giant Swiftie, like, so, a little bit of my Swiftie lore, I went to the Fearless tour when she was playing at, like, the old Coyote Stadium, so, like, not a high capacity. I absolutely fell in love with her. I feel like her music grows with my life, and, like, we relate in a lot of different ways, so I went to the Eras tour twice, trust me, dressed up, like, to the nines, like, in both times that I went, and I was Taylor Swift. My husband and I were Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift for Halloween last year. So, I think that's, like I feel like as soon as, like, I start talking to people and they know my dogs are Archer and Willow, so Taylor Swift songs, they're like, "Are you a Swiftie?" And they, like, can clock the Swifties, and I'm like, Yep, like guilty as charged and happy about it. So huge Swiftie in this household. I got my husband on the Taylor Swift train. He knows all the lore. So big Swiftie around here.
That's a good thing you converted him. It'll make it easier, right?
Right, right. He's like, I'm like, he's like, what are we listening to in the car? I'm like, The Life of a Showgirl. It just came out. That's all we're listening to.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And we don't add music to these shows, but if we did, we'd know what music tracks do we put.
Right, for sure.
Make it easy. Let's switch gears just a little bit and find out a little bit more about how leadership itself shows up for you in 3 different ways. So, in your personal life, in your professional life, and also in the Tucson community.
So I'll start with my personal life. I am like the oldest daughter in my family, and I feel like there's a natural like leadership role in that. And so both my husband and I, but we're definitely like the people in our personal lives that are like, we call ourselves the glue, right? So we're like the ones that like, life is really busy. Let's make sure our friends get together. Life is really busy. Let's make sure we make time to see our families, right? And we find that when we have those interactions of just like being the people who like bring people together, it's fulfilling for ourselves as well and for other people. But like we're like that, those are the moments that we like look at and we're like, we absolutely adore this thing that happened. We were with the people that we love. So that's definitely how it shows up in my personal life. In my professional life, so I am kind of like a new supervisor. I've only been in my supervision role for like 10 months, I think. And I just love seeing my staff like shine and like be the best at their job. And I love guiding them without telling them what to do. And I think it makes for a really great team dynamic. And I think like the best part of work is supervising people that you adore. So if any of my staff see this, like adore you guys. And then yeah, and then in the Tucson community, I was a part of the Greater Tucson Leadership Cohort, and I just love how seeing the styles of other people and their leadership like makes your leadership the unique thing that it is. So I'll see like 10 different types of leaders and they all lead in different ways, and I like pick and choose what I want from each person to make myself like, again, I love being a supervisor, so like making myself like the best leader that I possibly can be by pulling from people. And I think it's so unique. Like one of the things about Tucson too is there's so many really cool, really unique jobs and really cool and really unique leaders that I pull things from these people that I don't know if I would get in like another community, because we're such a, like a we're like such we are driven for our love for this place, right? So you learn things about the people here that I don't think you would necessarily from like living somewhere else. So
Okay, so many gems there that I want to follow up with here for just a minute. Okay, so the first one is you said something that I'm also going to have to use because you said life is really busy. Let's get our friends together. Okay, and typically when you hear someone say life is really busy, there's a word that follows, and it's not let's. It's not an action word. It's but, right?
yeah,
Life is really busy, but we're going to try and get together. But let's do this, right? There's this like, what I loved about it is how you remove that totally. You just went, life is busy, let's do this.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's a statement of, yes, life is busy. We're acknowledging it.
yeah.
And I'm about to say it again, but there was no but. So amazing to me. And you said it, in several different ways that you just acknowledge this is life and here's what we're doing.
Well, and I think like social, again, for me is something that is so important to like my mental health and to the health of my relationships with other people is getting together, right? Or, seeing people and meeting people where they're at. And I think that your busyness in your profession, especially if you're someone like me who loves my career and I love my other hobbies, my million hobbies, right? Like these things can exist in tandem rather than existing separately, right? Like they go together really well. It's just another thing that you do, right? Not a, oh, but I guess I have to go like to happy hour. I'm like, I get to go to happy hour. I get to have my friends over, and just the beauty in that, and making those relationships good, especially as you get into like young adulthood and kind of where I'm at in my life right now and people start to fall off. I'm like, no, we're actually going to be better as you get older.
And you're totally right. You need the people who can just say, hey, life's busy. Let's do this.
Right, right, right. Hey, we have an hour. We're gonna make that hour like the best hour ever.
Right? Yes. Love it. Love it. Can you tell us a little bit more about how, as a leader, you guide without telling?
Right.
What exactly
So,
does that mean?
so especially like earlier on in my career, like I definitely have a natural affinity to be like controlling, and not in like a evil way, but just like a I want to see a project beginning to end. And so for me, I'm like, the way that I do that is I am in the weaves of every single element of that project, right? And then, like I said, I have my staff now who I'm like, they're better at me at the data. They're better than me at this thing than I even am. So I like to see myself now more so as like a visionary. Like I have the vision and I have the guide. And then, someone will jump in and say, hey, this data piece right here will definitely support that. Let me pull a pie chart. Or, hey, I think the way that we do this at this specific site is the way that works a lot better, something that I never did. And I say, listen, try it. And if it works, then it's going to make the team all better, right? Rather than saying, no, don't do that. We've never pulled that data before. Or, no, this is how we do it in this classroom because I used to facilitate there, so I know how to do that. And I think as long as you kind of give your team like that star that we're all having a common goal, if you're an inspiring leader, I think that your team will fall into, also being in line with that goal. And then they can do it with their strengths, and lead to that goal with their specific strengths.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. Setting
Yeah.
that North Star guide.
Right.
Letting each person get there with their own strengths in their way. Yeah.
Right. And then that makes me like, ultimately, I'm like, you guys are thinking of things that I've never thought of, or we've never done it this way. It's like, we should do it this way now. Like, you guys have all the good ideas. Absolutely, like, love, again, like one of my favorite parts about supervision is that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. Um, we are at the right where we are question, and that's really all about the personal moments that have shaped how you show up, how you grow, and how you lead from exactly where life has you. So I'm going to ask the question, and you're going to answer first, and then we're going to answer after. And I think this is actually from our previous conversation. You're going to love this,
Yeah.
and that is, what part of Tucson reflects the kind of leader you are or aspire to be, and why?
Ooh, what part of Tucson? That's a good one. Um, I am a busy bee. And I love to constantly be going, as I've said. So, I'm gonna say, and also like this is just one of my favorite parts of Tucson, like physically. And so I'm gonna say downtown. I love it. Like again, I love the restaurants. I love walking around. I'm kind of like a people watcher. And not in like a judgmental way, but I just love to see like all different types of people. And so I think that's also like a good spot to do that. So, yeah, that's what I said. I'm gonna hang my hat on downtown. Love you, downtown.
Great. Well, my answer is actually going to be a little reflective of something that you kind of already talked about or related to earlier in our conversation, which is that, Tucson is really unique and it has lots of things that are very different. And so the part of Tucson that reflects the kind of leader that I am is actually the fact that Tucson has all these teeny tiny communities that are all very distinct and different from each other, right? Like, the Tanque Verde side of Tucson doesn't in any way equal Oro Valley side of Tucson, right?
Right.
And all these little bits are just like their own little tiny communities and niches. And what Tucson does a really good job of, I feel like, is lifting up each of those different communities to be their distinct community and be the best that community can be, right? And even in a lot of cases, it's, we don't have lots and lots of massive subdivisions, right? We have little teeny tiny communities that are proud to be who they are for who they are.
Yeah.
And what that means for me as the kind of leader that I am or aspire to be is that I love to have conversations with people and find their unique thing about them, and lead them to be the best they can be, to empower them to be the best they can be. And so I kind of see that in how Tucson is in our neighborhoods.
Yeah. And you know what I love too about Tucson that I don't know if you get like other places is that like if you live, so I live like north side of town, right? So if you live like north, you still love downtown. If you live downtown, there's still things for you to do north. And I feel like in other communities, like it's very siloed. And I don't think like we have that there. Like I love to work out at like the up in like Oro Valley is where like I work out. And all the people they're talking about like going out to downtown. I'm like, it's far, but like people are willing to make the drive to experience like this community. So kind of like what you're saying is like also all of them like working together and like having our common thing of just like loving this area. I love that. That's like such a good, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm staying in Tucson. We moved here for the weather and the nature, and we're staying for the people and the community and
For
that
sure.
vibe of who we as Tucson are.
For sure.
And now, after that more in-depth question, we're going to go into the lightning round, and you're going to have 2 types of questions. The first one's going to be a this or that, and the second one's going to ask you a question, but we don't want you to think about it too long. We want it to be just your gut response, okay?
Okay.
You ready? All right. Local market or supermarket?
A local.
What's a website you visit daily?
Instagram, if that counts.
Sun or moon?
Moon.
What's a piece of furniture you love in your home?
My outdoor couch.
Library or bookstore?
Bookstore.
What's a way you like to give back to your community?
I love attending events that I see, like if I'm driving around. Like I don't even do it like up on a purpose, but I'm just like driving around and I'm like, I want to stop there. I want to stop there. And then my Saturday errand goes from being like, I'm just gonna run to the store to like now I've gone to like 15 different like agency events, but that I absolutely love doing that. So it makes your day like so much better.
Love it. Love it. Baking or cooking?
Baking.
What's a challenge you've overcome recently?
Ooh. Um, Maybe personal and back to what we were talking about with the weather, but summers can be really tough for me, especially like towards the tail end. And I definitely feel myself like getting a little bit sad. So kind of personally overcoming that and knowing like seeing the light at the end of the tunnel again, that the high today is only 84. Because I can get really down about that. So maybe like a little bit of seasonal depression. Recently got over that. So
A little too spicy at the end there.
right, a little too spicy. Like when it's the end, like the end of August, I'm like, oh please, like we need some rain or something.
Guacamole or salsa?
Guacamole.
And that is the end of our lightning round. Good.
Yeah.
So now's your chance to promote an evergreen cause, project, organization, event. What would you like to have our listeners know about?
Yeah. So I want to plug something a little bit personal, a little bit professional. My dad and my uncle started an organization called Opportunity for Kids. They started it, I think, in like the I don't know if the year is necessarily important, but like the 2010s. And it is an organization where they provide scholarships for youth who want to do after school programming, but might not necessarily have the needs for it. So that could be anything from sports equipment. So if you want to play on a team, but you have to buy a jersey, they provide scholarships for that. If you want to play an instrument, if you want to go on a school trip, right? Like maybe your orchestra is going on a trip. And I'm only saying that specifically because that's what my orchestra used to do. And you know, you don't have the means for it. They provide scholarships for that. And it's just a really great organization. I think that, you know, after school activities and in school activities that are outside of like the normal schedule are really important for youth. It keeps them engaged, you know, knowing that, yeah, I got to get through the school day, but I have, you know, insert activity that I absolutely love after school. You know, I get to go dance. I get to go play my instrument. I get to go, you know, play soccer, which I absolutely love. It keeps them engaged. It keeps them structured. And structure is also really important, obviously, for youth. And so I absolutely love it. I'm sure my dad's going to watch this. I'm so incredibly and proud of him and my uncle for what they've done with this organization. And so yeah, they take they have big donations. There's an annual event that they hold. So for next year's, because it'll be happening before, but like for next year's event, I can plug that information and everything like that. And every time they're doing like any tabling. So that's my little plug. A little personal, a little professional. They do. It's opportunityforkids.org, and the 4 is the number 4.
Okay,
so
great.
opportunityforkids.org.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kennedy. It has been absolutely delightful to have you as a guest on Lead Where You Live. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much. This has been lovely. I get to think about all the things that I normally don't. So this was like so fun.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Lead Where You Live. We hope you're feeling inspired by our guest's story and the impact they're making right here in Tucson.
If you love this conversation, help us spread the word. Share this episode, subscribe on YouTube, and tag a local leader who should be featured next.
Because leadership starts with showing up, and we know Tucson is full of incredible people doing just that.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Lead Where You Live.